What is up, YouTube? It's Kingfisher745, and this is episode 77 of All Hail the King. Episode 77. I like the sound of that. Well, in this episode, we're going to feature Howard the Duck, but I also want to encourage you to check out the From the Helicarrier podcast, and I'll place a link to the corresponding podcast in the description below. Now, our very first team up for Howard is someone we used at the very beginning, and by that I mean when we first recruited him. And we're certainly going to use her again, once that alternate costume comes out. But it's none other than Squirrel Girl. I actually do enjoy using Doreen. She's not a bad character at all. She can do quite a bit of damage and heal for a lot. Plus you can put the cooperative AISO on her Furry Fury and make it a quick action. Howard's also a fantastic character. The free action, your choice between two quick actions, and then a range of different attacks. As you can see here, he will definitely deal a lot of damage to someone like a blast or rocket. The only thing is, against certain team-ups he is going to have more problems. So say maybe Colossus, especially with the elite EISO. With Rocket down, this team definitely loses most of its sting. Okay, and now on Squirrel Girl, you can see there it is a quick action, that is her level 2. And that's because of the cooperative AISO. It makes a summon attack a quick action. After using that, we can still use Nuts to This as a free action, and then once we're done with that, we could go through level 9 and still do a follow-up from our level 1. In some cases though, because of the bleed aspect, we may opt to go for her level 1. We currently have the bloody AISO on it, so it does indeed cause bleeding. The multiple attacks means multiple stacks. But either way, Howard and my agent join in, and that's the end of Union Jack. So, with my agent's turn, we're going to use the Smothering Shadow. And that's a quick action if you have Sacred. It's also a quick action if you have Unholy, but in our case we have Sacred from the Oni Breaker. After that, we attack with the Relentless Rapier. He'll take dot damage, and following his attack we get our counter. That comes courtesy of the Neurotripe. So a really quick first match, and you know, these two just work well together. Now on to our second team up. They definitely have a lot of synergy. But let me just say this, it was very difficult to use them in the current meta. I think that's unfortunate, but there's too much melee attacking. Even so, we did manage to take down a Colossus and Kurth team, but it wasn't easy. We went ahead and started with reinforcements because the enemy agent would probably remove our Neurotripe. Also, another thing I do want to mention, especially when it comes to this team, is if you flank the opponent, then use Quack Fu, you'll actually follow up with his level 1 which has Knockout Punch. That means that it'll stun a target that has combo setup. It's a pretty awesome little chain of events that'll stun a lot of enemies. There's not too much stun immunity out there these days. Then the other interesting thing about this team is, we have the Dragon's Foot on my agent which applies combo setup, and then we also are using the Carafist. That also has Knockout Punch. The Dragon's Foot can actually counterattack, meaning it'll put Knockout Punch on the opponent, and possibly set up Howard or Luke Cage, who we'll look at in just a moment. Basically though, what I'm saying is everyone on the team can apply combo setup and they all have a Knockout Punch. It sounds pretty cool and it actually can work out quite well. Especially once you add in the fact that Luke Cage and Howard can get extra turns, and Howard can cause his teammates to join in on attacks. It ends up being a lot of attacking. So in a meta not dominated by Kurth, Colossus, Emma Frost, the Elite EISO, and a bunch of melee hate, this team would actually be really good and a lot of fun. For now though, I'm just going to say I don't recommend it. But here on Luke Cage's turn, we can see his Brawl does indeed have combo setup. And then his Face Punch not only has Knockout Punch, it also exploits combos. All in all, it can do a lot of damage, with Brutal Strike as well. Unfortunately against this team, it's not going to do that much, and he's kind of a liability. So after some debate, we're just going to go ahead and use his level 1 on Colossus. And by the way, you can corner him, but if he has the Elite EISO, he's still going to protect. being he's immune to Cornered. On Howard's reinforcements though, it does apply Cornered. Now this time on my agent's turn, we're going to go ahead and use the Hailstorm. And it's kind of weird, but we are going to place Bleeding on Kurth. And that's basically the whole reason behind it. The rest of this fight is going to come down to dots. And that's why it's not only going to take a long time, it's just going to be frustrating and tedious. And that may just sum up this season. Early on I was actually having fun, but then I started running into either Emma and Colossus, or Colossus and someone else. And it just saps the fun right out of playing. It is what it is, I'm just saying from a personal opinion. My own PvP fun. Bringing in a blaster like Elsa will definitely help out though. So a ranged blaster such as her, well, she's going to do a number on Colossus. Currently I just started using Spitfire and Emma on attack, and they're doing very well. Another annoyance factor this season has been the lunacy. But with the enemy agent down, he at least can't use that. Alright, now with my remaining turns, it's going to be pretty difficult to decide what to do. I suppose we'll use Luke Cage's level 9, and that does apply a dot of sorts. We of course just stunned Colossus, so he can't be stunned again just yet. And another problem with this team is the fact that they can't bypass protectors. Either way though, on my agent's turn again, we're going to put another stack of Bleeding on Kurth. It's definitely taking a while, but she is racking up the bleed damage. Then we're unfortunately going to have to recharge our stamina. The other thing we have to contend with against this enemy team is Guardian Force from the Phoenix 5 costume. So yeah, those random heals can really get annoying, and you never know when they're going to come. Here Howard's also out of stamina, so we also have to recharge on his turn. Fortunately, the enemy Colossus really doesn't do a lot of damage. Another bad thing though is against a team like this or a character like Colossus, when Howard counters with his level 1, he ends up doing more harm than good. So yeah, I mean there was a long list of reasons why this team didn't work out in the meta. This time though, on my enemy agent's turn, we're going to use the Warm Zephyr, then the Improbability Field. So hopefully we get a few more dots on the enemy team. They're not quite ready for an Atom Smasher yet. Then Kurth's up next, and she's going to take a lot of dot damage. Plus she uses Love Me on Luke Cage. So with Howard's turn, we'll use his free action. Then, the Neurotripe. And we'll follow it up with the friggin' Sword of Hope on Kurth. One good thing about this attack is it is stealthy, so it's one way he can get around a protector. Unfortunately, he has very few ways to do that. But here at least we take down the Breaker of Stone, and now we only have Colossus left. So after what feels like the 100th Colossal Smash, we're going to get some counterattacks. And every one of them is going to be an unarmed melee attack. That's another pretty scary sight. Next, with Howard we'll use Reinforcements, and that does flank the opponent. Our agent follows up though, and that's going to be the end of this match. So on to the third and final team up, and this one I also thought was interesting, but it just worked okay. Of course by now we know what Howard can do. And he does have Pressure Points and Paragon Exploiter. Pressure Points is on his Quack Fu, and then he has Paragon Exploiter on his friggin' Sword of Hope. For the most part, we're going to start his turns out by using his level 9, then a quick action. But there you can see Pressure Points, Combo Setup, and Incapacitation. Alright, so after we use Ductini, we'll show you his Paragon Exploiter attack. It also has Open Wound and Desperation. Then, since the agent isn't going right away, we're going to use the Neurotripe, and we'll see if we can get away with it without getting it removed. Since they have the Mystic Shroud, that messes up our pressure points, at least for now. So we'll just go ahead and use Coulson's BFG. This does have One for All and All for One. and we end up getting a follow-up attack from Howard and my agent. Then the enemy Kurth apparently is a scrapper, and they use Close the Gap followed by a Stonebreaker. We do hit them with the Raft Shank though, and stop their second hit. We're also going to absorb energy and counterattack because of the Neurotripe. At this point though, let me show you what Daredevil has. Specifically the Man Without Fear. We have pressure points on our level 1. Then we can interrupt incoming enemy attacks with Pass the Bar. Pass the Bar happens to have combo setup. And remember, Howard has Knockout Punch, which stuns targets with combo setup. So besides having the pressure points and Paragon Exploiter connection, he also can just randomly hit people with that combo setup. Then Howard can use Eat My Glove and stun them. It's pretty awesome, and it's definitely some added synergy. Once again though, you will run into some of the same trappings that the last team did. The current meta just isn't that friendly. Still though, we can definitely pack a punch. And if the agent was set up, they would pretty much be done. Unfortunately, we do miss Pass the Bar, but we get a preemptive counter. Then after Private Eye, we also hit him with an Eat My Glove. Just imagine if the combo setup worked, that would have been a stun. That is, if they didn't have Mystic Shroud. Still though, we're now going to go ahead and use our stealthy attack. And that's going to be the friggin' Sword of Hope on the enemy agent. I figured let's try to take him out before his turn. And we end up getting it. Fatal Blow basically comes from Howard's passive. Then with my agent we do have the Neuro Purge, which also applies pressure points. And we have a Paragon Exploiter in the Hand of Apocalypse. First though, we have to use the Blackest Void. So not a great turn, but at least Howard's going to be next. Since it is a quick action and it applies cornered plus flanked, we thought, hey, why not hit Null? As soon as I clicked it, I remembered he's immune to cornered. But at least he should be flanked. Like I said earlier, if you do attack a flanked opponent with Quack Fu, you'll end up stunning them. So we do ultimately hit Null with that. Combo setup comes first, then Knockout Punch from Eat My Glove. After that, Null should be stunned. Alright, now Kurth does use Fear Me, which can be very annoying. But on the Man Without Fear's turn, we're going to go ahead and use... Let's just go with his level 1 on Kurth. And that's because you can affect her with Bleed. Then with my agent, we're going to use the Neuro Purge that applies pressure points. Well, it would have a handoff balance. Instead, we'll just use the Light Fantastic next. So yeah, Cower's annoying. With Howard, our Ductini's back, so we'll use that. Then, we'll go ahead and use Quack Fu on Kurth. I'm telling you what, I've really had to think a lot this season. There are some really crazy matches that I recorded. They're very long, but I'm thinking about putting them up as solo videos. So let me know if you want to see them. They took a lot of thought, and were very close, plus really tough. This is another pretty long one, but it really doesn't compare to them. Now that Kurth's gone, we have an annoying Null, but we have all 3 of our teammates, and we should be able to win this pretty handily. The Elite EISO, as always, is going to be a problem for Howard, especially since you'll just randomly hit him with Eat My Glove. But if you do have some dots, such as the Improbability Field, it may go a long way. However, the Worthy, we know, are immune to a few things. Still though, we once again have Neurotripe, and that should help out our entire team. Plus we have our range attack back, so we're going to use Coulson's Revenge on Null. We also follow it up with an unarmed melee attack. Now with Daredevil's turn, we're going to use our ranged attack. It also has combo setup, so let's use Pass the Bar. It does okay damage, and in this case Howard follows it up, meaning he's going to stun Null. So he misses his turn. And after that, our agent's going to use the Atom Smasher. This should do it. So it's about time we wrap this one up. As always, I do want to thank you all for watching, ask you to please like, comment, and subscribe. Then until next time, good luck, and take care.